A couple weeks ago, I got to interview my friend Nick Loper. If you don't know Nick, he is the host of Side Hustle Nation, the podcast, and he has a blog, and he's been around for a little while. In fact, I followed him for years since I first got started with internet marketing. And I did a long form interview with Nick, and it's a little bit long, I'll be honest with you. So this is sort of the highlight reel. In this video, we hear from Nick and the mistake that he made as he was getting started. We also hear about Nick's approach to goal setting. We hear about some of his productivity tips as well. And finally, mastermind groups. I'm a big proponent of mastermind groups, and it was cool to hear sort of Nick's approach as well. By the way, I'm Doug Cunnington, founder of Niche Site Project, and I talk about Amazon affiliate marketing and project management. So if you're new to the channel, have a look around and please consider subscribing. With that business, did you get a lot of traffic from like SEO, or was it coming from ads or somewhere?
It was primarily driven through AdWords and Bing, which used to be even like Yahoo and Overture like back in the day. And so it was heavily reliant on paid traffic, where probably one of the failure points was that I've failed to reinvest that profit from the pay-per-click stuff into SEO. And so never really got a lot of organic love. And maybe that would have given the business a little more staying power.
And I take it that sort of shapes your productivity as well. So you'll have like mini milestones along the way so you can sort of track your longer term goals. Is that accurate?
I am really bad at long-term goals. I haven't maybe set any for a long time, but you kind of step into this stuff and think, at least in terms of the podcast, starting with the hook or the story or the broad idea first, and then trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be the best person to illustrate that, to tell that story. And even when you get pitches coming in, you're like, okay, you're an awesome entrepreneur, but like maybe you're too far along for my audience, or maybe like it's not super applicable. Like I talked to a woman the other day, had a cool business, was selling digital products and her own kind of invention, her own course on Amazon, but she dumped $100,000 into, the initial production of that course. I was like, oh, I was like, it was my bad. Like I hadn't done the homework in advance. And I was like, oh, what gave you the confidence to do that? Where'd that money come from? Like, was that a bootstrap thing? So trying to put the audience first, I guess, like make sure that, and if she had been like, well, I followed this specific formula on Kickstarter and it went viral, like that's one thing, but it's like, hey, I just had $100,000 sitting around, like whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to like relate that to people who are trying to do a side hustle. So yeah. I'm a productivity geek. So I sort of get into it, try like several things, and I'm always testing something. Like, how do you manage your productivity, say on a weekly basis, just day to day?
Let's do it. I mean, I'll probably ask you some questions on the productivity front.
All right.
The biggest shift for me in the last couple of years has been theme days, which is something I picked up from Mike Vardy at productivityist.com. And inside of those theme days, so Monday is kind of like a content creation day, Tuesday is meeting day, Wednesday is, working on other side hustle stuff and some admin. And then Thursday is theoretically blocked off for like side hustle growth projects. For a while that was like an email list migration, that was a website redesign. Maybe it takes the form of like a course or something like that. And then Fridays are off because, get to spend the time with my son. Inside those theme days, the biggest shift was stacking all the meetings up on Tuesdays, just because previously I'd have, some project I was working on, and then I'd have a 15-minute call in half an hour, or, and then 15 minutes after that, have another to a deep work rhythm. Whereas now it's just like, okay, Tuesdays are a wash, usually 9 to 5 is stacked up pretty deep with recordings and other meetings. So it's like, that's probably been the biggest shift and opened up the biggest time blocks on other days to get some meaningful stuff done.
And it sounds like you're describing a group like the ones I've been a part of, where it's mostly, peer based, although everyone has their own specialized skills and stuff. This is not like a paid mastermind, right?
Yeah, I haven't been a part of a paid mastermind. Actually have hosted some on Side Hustle Nation. That was like the first like monetization for the site. So like the light bulb goes off. I see like the amazing power of masterminds, and a friend was like, dude, you got an audience. You should host a mastermind. I was like, all right, let's try it out. And then ran that for a couple of years. It was actually really cool. And when you have a group that's like really firing and motivated, it was one of the coolest things to see the progress every week. And then when you have like attendance issues and people aren't doing what they say they're going to do, it was like a drag. So it's been on hiatus since my first son was born, and he's like 2.5. So trying to figure out how to retool it, rethink it in a way that makes it more impactful and more worthwhile.
All right, I want to thank Nick for spending time with me. I really appreciate that. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.